4 men have been executed in India for a brutal gang rape and murder that sparked nationwide protests. The men were hanged at dawn in a Delhi prison after the Indian Supreme Court upheld their death sentences. It's been more than 7 years since they attacked a 23-year-old student on a city bus. The victim died of her injuries days later. The case triggered outrage around the world and led to new anti-rape laws in India. And for more, let's cross over to DW correspondent Nirbhaya Jaiswal in Delhi. Nirbhaya, the executions went ahead after last-minute appeals were turned down. What role did public pressure play in this case?
Well, Monica, public pressure definitely had a role to play, and there has been a perception in India for the last 7 years, an outrage, not just on behalf of the victim's family, but on behalf of women's safety. There have been wide calls for the hangings of these 4 men, and all their appeals in the courts to the president, while they were turned down by the judiciary, by the president, the perception of the public that there's no way these people should be forgiven must have played a role in these executions being carried out. Even in the hours leading up to the executions, the lawyers for these convicts kept trying to find different ways of appeal, but this does not help their case. And this now finally there is also a response in India that this was justice long coming. This is what the victim's mother had to say. This is also what the Prime Minister had to say on Twitter today.
And, well, so everybody called for justice, and now that the execution happened, what are the reactions across the country?
Well, Monica, like I mentioned, there has been many voices across the country which are applauding the fact that this execution has finally been carried out. But this is not representative of all the voices on the ground over here. Several people are coming out to criticize the fact that capital punishment cannot be simply seen as the only way to ensure that women in India are made to feel safe, are made to feel like they can occupy public spaces freely, because even in the last 7 years, we have seen incidences of violence against women. Many rights activists have actually stepped out to say that this execution should not have been carried out, that similar efforts should instead be put in long-term creation of awareness, in long-term participation, not just of women, but of men as well, in ensuring that women can feel safe. And one of the important aspects to do this would be to try to create a shift in India's traditional patriarchy. One such effort to do this was something that we followed here in New Delhi. There was an attempt by an organization to actually conduct masculinity workshops in schools to make young boys think about what really is their role in the house, what really are their parents' roles, their mothers and their fathers, and what kind of men they want to be when they grow up.
This is not a usual school day for 7th grader Ajit Singh. The questions he's being asked are more open-ended than usual. A man should have the final say in every decision made in the house. The trainer says, he has to choose. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Or are you undecided? The 12-year-old boys run to their corners. One group says both parents should have equal say. A few others say the older, wiser one should, hesitantly indicating the man. There are no wrong answers. The goal of the session is to provide an open platform to talk about the notions of sex and gender that these boys have grown up with, topics that are rarely broached. The trainer follows up with simple questions. Is bearing children the only role of a woman? Is it physically possible for women to do the work that men do? Ajit has been attending these sessions for 3 months now. He says he has learned a lot about the importance of equality at home, at work, and in school.
Papa,
I want to tell my father that he should never be violent with my mother. And I can do my share of the chores at home, just like my sister.
This is what the Center for Equity and Inclusion, the NGO that runs these sessions, is hoping for. That engaging boys at this age will encourage empathy and respect in the long run.
Today, the boys are talking about the unpaid work of their mothers, the need for women to participate in decision-making, and for men to help out at home. This is an important first step.
Change will be an uphill task. While many men and women rallied to strengthen India's laws on rape, there has been a backlash by those worried that the new rules now discriminate against men.
Men are being wrongfully accused under these laws. This is wrong. Just like there is a women's commission, we need a men's commission too. The new rules are good, but they are very often misused. In most cases, the women take undue advantage. Even those who are innocent are sometimes held at fault. There needs to be stronger investigations and protections for men.
The us versus them starts early. As the boys and girls keep to themselves, their notions of the other can be heavily biased. In another school, the workshops are just beginning. The boys are calling out the differences between men and women. Men can wear what they like. Women must come home on time. Men can endure more pain. Women don't enter politics. The trainer asks, but is a woman physically unable to do any of these things? Slowly but surely, the perceived differences are starting to disappear.
So, Nimisha, thank you very much for this report. Interesting. So some things have changed, but how much has really changed for women in India since that shocking killing 7 years ago?
Well, Monica, widespread protests that followed this incident actually did change India's laws against rape and made them more strict. But this has in no way meant that in the last 7 years we do not continue to see heinous crimes against women. So women's rights activists have called for an investment in ensuring that young people, that men and women, that boys and girls change their perceptions about gender rights. And also they're asking for the judiciary to beef up its powers in actually addressing these cases so that the backlog we see is not as high.
All right. Nimisha Jaswal in Delhi, thank you so much for bringing this story to us.